Welcome back. We're doing another lesson on Java basic programming skills, and today we're going to do selection by doing the if, else, and else-if statement. This is what's going to allow us to make decisions based on data as to do one thing or another thing. Really, it's the cornerstone of programming, the cornerstone of computing. So let's get on with it. We're going to make a new one again. So File, New Project. I'm going to name this one Tutorial 4. And then finish. I'm going to do what I normally do and remove the original comments since they're not necessary. Great. Oh, a bit of a reminder as well about indentation. So indentation is not necessary in Java because you're saying where things begin and end by doing these colons, so where the scope is, and you say when the end of lines are by putting semicolons. So technically you could do the whole thing on one long line. I wouldn't advise that. But we do want to do indentation for readability. We want to do it so that actually it's going to make it much easier for you to maintain and look at your code and for other people to see your code. So in here, when I write the first statement, I want to do it indented inside. Okay, so what am I doing? Let's think of an example. Let's say this. How about this for film recommendations? So dependent on your age, we could recommend different films. So I could say int age equals, how about, why don't we do this? Why don't we get the person to input their age? That'd be good. So scanner input equals new scanner system, capital S for system, .in. Remember again, we need to do one final thing, which is click on the little bubble here or the little light bulb and add import java.util.scanner. You can also just manually type that in. It will do exactly the same. So, and then remember we want to ask the person, how old are you? Question mark. And then here, instead of just int age being, say, 15, we can say input dot next int, because we want it to be the right data type. Brilliant. So, gosh, I don't know what a film that's really out at the moment. I've got a lot of young children, so I'm going to make a film that's not appropriate for them and a film that is appropriate. So how about we say if age is equal to above 13, so that's greater than or equal to. If I just did this, it would be greater than. In fact, maybe I should do that first of all. So it's an if, lowercase, open up brackets. We put the, in between the brackets, we put the selection statement, and that will either have to return true or false. I can even write the word true, and it's fine. But then it would always trigger it. So if age is greater than 13, so if age is larger than 13, it would be true, if not false. At the end of the line, where in something like Python, I think you put a colon. For this one, you put a brackets, because you're saying where it's going to start and end. And this is one of the places where people fall over sometimes. Do you see when I put that bracket there, it's taken this bracket as a pair, and then this one was going to have this one, and then this original one here has had its bracket stolen, right? So that's not what we want. We need to have an additional bracket. Now, on IDEs, it makes it nice for you. So if you open the curly bracket, you just press enter. Do you see it's inserted? It just inserted a new curly bracket for us. So it's saying where it begins and ends. And we should indent inside if for our command. So, okay, let's think. Avengers. Is it Endgame? And so if the person's age is above 13, it's going to be make that suggestion. And then with an if, you can have the else part of it. So if it's not true, so we can write else. People have different stylistic ways of writing it. Some people write the else like this. Some people write the else here. I tend to write it there because it actually uses a little bit less space. Again, remember it's created, I've opened this curly bracket, so it's stolen this one again. But if I hit enter, right, it's put one in here. If you don't hit enter, and I go in here, you can always just manually close it. I want to indent inside here. What's it going to be? Paw Patrol, the movie. It's a fantastic bit of music, a bit of film. That's me. I've not saved. Okay, 1 second, no problem.
Is that okay? So
Absolutely.
Report, so.
No problem, I will. Paw Patrol, the movie. I'll be right back. Great. Well, should we test this out? So if I go over here, I'm going to right click and run. And if I say I'm 18, it's going to recommend I watch Avengers Endgame. And if I'm saying I'm 8, it's going to suggest Paw Patrol the movie. Awesome. Now, I actually made a little bit of an error because I believe Avengers Endgame is PG-13, which actually technically means parental guidance. You can watch it when you're younger, but let's pretend it's a hard rule. But if we are 13, what's going to happen? It's going to recommend Paw Patrol because we've said that symbol there just says greater than 13. And 13 is not greater than 13. Therefore, it will be false. So it's greater than or equal to 13. And if we test it out now, it's going to work for us. Fingers crossed. So if I type in 13, Avengers Endgame. Okay. We might want to expand this a little bit because you want more than just 2 recommendations. Because with an if and else statement, it's either one thing or another. Let's open this up to actually have more than this. So maybe we can have a age 18 plus. When you guys are old enough, you should watch this film because it's a masterpiece, but only when you're old enough. I'm going to recommend Fight Club. But right now, my system is if you're 18 or higher, you can watch Fight Club. Otherwise, you could be 17 years old. I'm afraid you still have to watch Paw Patrol the movie, which I'm sure is fantastic. Why don't we add in a new one here? We're going to add in a new option. Here's our new option. Else if. In Python, you write elif, and elif is actually just else if squished together. So I'm going to write else if, and then I'll put a new logical test in. What's my logical test? Is the age greater than or equal to 13? Open curly brackets, hit enter. So I'm stacking this up. In fact, to be consistent with my syntax, I'm going to bring this one back up here. Now, you don't have to. I like to do this just because it keeps it more condensed. I think it actually looks nicer like that. But I want to keep it all on one page, so just so you know. And I'll print out, what was my... we do Avengers again. Avengers Endgame. So I've got 3 recommendations. What if I want to do more than 3 recommendations? Well, that's possible. Imagine like if and else are like 2 bits of bread, so that's the sandwich. Else if are like the fillings, so you can have as many fillings as you like inside it. So let's have another one here. I'm going to have another else if the age is greater than or equal to 7, for instance, we'll recommend that they watch, I've seen this far too many times now, Frozen. Should we test it out? So we run it. If we've got 20, it's picking Fight Club. If we're picking 13, what will it say? Avengers Endgame. If I run it again and I say 9, it's Frozen. And finally, if I pick minus 64, what's it going to do? Is it going to fail on me? No, because, I mean, it doesn't know age. It's silly to have less than 0 for age. So it's going to recommend Paw Patrol the movie. So we'll talk about that later. You basically might want to validate it by using an if statement. And we could even have a final one. In fact, we could fix that for us right now by validating it. We could actually say for this one, we can say else if age is greater than or equal to 0. I know a 0-year-old sounds funny, but I suppose that would be what a toddler is. And then else and then this is whatever's left. What should we say? Invalid age. So I can run it, and I can say if I'm minus 21, invalid age. Okay, so that is the if, else statement in action. You have a logical test in each of these. Remember that one of the places you can easily go wrong is the curly brackets, so be careful. Let's have a look at a problem to solve. So in here we've got selection but for grades. And what we've got is that we've got a series of percentages, 90%, 80%, 70%, 60, 50, 40, all the way down to a U. And you're going to need to try and solve that problem. So think about it. You're going to need to have allow the end user to input their percentage score. Probably just take that in as an integer. You could take it in as a double though. Do the same thing. Of course, they won't type in 90%. They'll just type in 90 or 93 or 94.6. Because if it's 94.6, you need to take that in as a double. And then you have a series of statements. Don't make this error. What you could easily do is start with doing, say, 40, and then say that's a E, and then you can say if it's greater than or equal to 40, it's an E. If it's greater than or equal to 50, it's a D. Well, immediately the first test that will be true will be if it's greater than 40, and then it won't do the rest. So you have to go from the highest to lowest, because it will do the first test. You know, the first if statement will happen first, and work down. Okay, well, I think I'll do the same thing. I think as I did last lesson, I want you to pause me now and have a go at trying to solve that problem. Oh, and then I've also said, can you extend it to allow the user to input 5 test scores and calculate the average score and output the grade they achieved. So we're linking in the previous lessons work on arithmetic operators. So once you've set it up to do, and hopefully you have at this point, do the if and else, if and else if and else if for the scores, then you want to extend it to allow the user to input 5 of their scores, 5 scores, so 5 variables, calculate the average like we did in our previous lesson, and then say what the grade was for that. Okay, best of luck.